I never used to think much about my legs until one day I woke up, swung my feet to the floor, and it felt like someone had filled my calves with concrete. It wasn't pain exactly, just this strange, heavy feeling that made getting to the bathroom feel like a trek across a mountain. No injury, no reason, and yet there I was, waddling across the room like I had bricks tied to my ankles. I brushed it off at first. Maybe I slept funny, maybe I was dehydrated. But the next morning, same thing. And the one after that, the kicker? Stairs. Oh boy, stairs felt like squats at the gym. That's when I started looking into what actually happens to our legs after a certain age, and what I found blew me away. Turns out, after the age of 60, our leg strength doesn't just slowly fade, it drops off at around 3% every year. Just like that. And it's sneaky. You won't even notice it until one day your legs start whispering, "Hey, we're done." But here's the part that gave me hope, and why I'm talking to you now. There are real, everyday foods that can reverse that weakness. Not in weeks, not in months. I'm talking within 12 hours. That's not a guess. That's from actual studies on real people like us. So I started experimenting. I tried these 8 specific foods, one at a time, starting with tart cherry juice, and I'll tell you right now, it made a believer out of me. Tart cherry juice isn't just another health drink with a fancy label. It's like a secret handshake with your muscles. I first gave it a try one morning before breakfast, poured myself a small glass. Nothing big, maybe 6 or 7 ounces, and just sipped it slowly on an empty stomach. Within a couple of hours, I noticed something. My legs didn't feel tight. That usual post-sleep stiffness, it was just gone. Turns out, tart cherry juice is rich in these plant compounds called anthocyanins. A mouthful, I know. But what they do is magic. They help ease the tension in your muscles and calm inflammation, especially after movement. I didn't expect much at first. I mean, it's juice, right? But clinical studies showed that people who drank this stuff actually saw improvements in flexibility and strength in their quads the same day. That blew my mind. Now, before you rush out and grab a bottle, here's the deal. You want 100% unsweetened tart cherry juice, not the sweet cocktail versions loaded with sugar. That's like watering down medicine with candy. The real deal is strong. You can mix it with water if it's too tangy, but don't skip it. After a few days of taking it in the morning, or sometimes even before bed, I started feeling like I had more spring in my step. It didn't give me superpowers, but climbing stairs didn't feel like a wrestling match anymore. And the best part? It fits so easily into your routine. No pills, no fancy prep. Just pour, sip, and let it do its thing. At first, I thought maybe it was just in my head. You know how sometimes you want something to work so badly that your brain plays tricks on you? But by the 3rd morning, I realized this wasn't wishful thinking. It was real. I was getting out of bed with more ease. No need to pause at the edge of the mattress and wiggle my toes to wake them up. My knees weren't creaking like an old porch swing. Even my morning walk felt smoother, like my legs weren't dragging behind me anymore. It was like someone had taken a wrench and loosened up all the tight bolts in my joints. One thing I noticed, which I didn't expect, was how it helped with my sleep too. I started sipping the juice before bed instead of in the morning on some nights, and I found myself falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. I later read that tart cherry juice naturally boosts melatonin, and I thought, well, that explains it. It's like a 2-for-1 deal. Better legs and better sleep. I even told a neighbor about it. She's in her 70s, loves to garden, but had been complaining about sore legs. And after a week, she was raving about how she could kneel down longer without discomfort. That's when I knew this wasn't just a fluke. It's simple, natural, and ridiculously effective. You'd never expect this little bottle of dark red juice to pack such a punch, but man, it does. Now, after that experience, I started thinking, what else am I missing? That's when I stumbled onto something I used to ignore at Thanksgiving and toss out without a second thought. Pumpkin seeds. These little guys are no joke. I used to think they were just crunchy bits for salads or bird food, but they're actually tiny nutritional powerhouses, especially for folks like us who are trying to rebuild strength. I started soaking a couple tablespoons overnight, just raw pumpkin seeds in a little cup of water, and popping them into a smoothie or just chewing on them plain in the morning. Simple stuff, But the change? Incredible. Here's what I learned. Magnesium is the hero here. It's a mineral your muscles desperately need to function properly. Without enough of it, your legs start to feel tense, heavy, and stiff. Not because they're weak, but because they're basically starving for the fuel that helps them relax and contract smoothly. Most seniors don't even know they're low on magnesium. It's not something your doctor checks unless you ask. But after a week or so of consistently eating these soaked pumpkin seeds, I could feel it in my gait. My legs felt lighter in the morning. I could get up from my chair with less of that old man grunt I'd started doing. Plus, they're loaded with zinc and healthy fats, which are kind of like the behind-the-scenes support crew that keeps your hormones balanced and your joints from screaming every time you bend down. What surprised me most was how fast my balance improved. I didn't even realize I'd been wobbling until one morning I was putting on my socks and noticed I wasn't leaning on the dresser like I usually do. I was just standing there, solid, like my legs finally had a foundation again. And the funny thing, these seeds are so small. It's wild how something that fits in the palm of your hand can bring such a noticeable shift. I started adding them to everything. Yogurt, oatmeal, even a little snack bag to carry on walks. I remember one day I missed them, completely forgot, and by mid-morning my legs felt different. Heavier, sluggish, just not quite right. That's when it really clicked for me. This wasn't just a maybe it helps thing, it was helping, and my body was starting to rely on it. I even tried giving some to my brother, he's a few years older, still insists on mowing his own lawn, and a week later he called me and said, "Okay, I don't know what's in those seeds, but I'm not limping up the steps anymore." That made my day. It's easy to underestimate the little stuff, isn't it? But those pumpkin seeds earned a permanent spot on my kitchen shelf. Just a couple spoonfuls a day, soaked overnight, and I'm telling you, it's like giving your legs a multivitamin bath from the inside out. And that's just the second food. I couldn't stop there. Next up was something I've always liked but never took seriously: cooked spinach. Now I know spinach has been pushed at us since we were kids, but here's the twist. It works better when you cook it. I didn't know that. Turns out raw spinach has something called oxalates, which can block your body from absorbing all its good stuff. Cooking breaks that down, making all those beautiful nutrients available to your muscles, especially nitrates, potassium, and, you guessed it, magnesium. These nitrates are like rocket fuel for your blood flow. They get converted into nitric oxide, which relaxes your blood vessels and helps more oxygen reach your muscles. The first time I sautéed some spinach with olive oil and garlic and had it for breakfast, yep, breakfast, I felt this odd sense of energy in my legs by mid-morning. It wasn't a caffeine jolt, it was just easier to move. Clinical studies showed walking speed and endurance improvements within 12 hours. I believe it. Spinach may look like rabbit food, but let me tell you, that green stuff can put power back in your stride. What's funny is, I used to think spinach was just for Popeye or people on diets. But once I started eating it warm, sautéed just enough to soften it up, I realized how wrong I was. It became part of my morning rotation. Some days I'd toss it into scrambled eggs, other days I'd just warm it up with a little lemon juice and eat it on the side. And let me tell you, it didn't just help my legs, it helped everything. I wasn't winded going up the stairs. I wasn't fidgeting in my chair because of tight hips or sore knees. I actually wanted to go for a walk. There was one morning, I remember clearly, I'd been up late the night before and figured I'd skip the spinach. Bad move. My usual spring was missing, like someone swapped my legs with a couple of bricks. That's when it really sunk in. This stuff was doing more than I gave it credit for. So the next morning, spinach was back on the menu, and sure enough, the bounce came back. Even my doctor was surprised at my improved circulation during my last checkup. She asked if I'd started a new walking routine. I said, "Nope, just added more greens to breakfast." She raised an eyebrow, laughed, and said, "Whatever you're doing, keep at it." I've even got my cousin hooked now. She blends it into soups and swears it helps her knees feel less stiff after gardening. The truth is, spinach isn't just healthy, it's powerful. It's like a secret weapon that's been hiding in plain sight. And if you've been skipping it like I used to, trust me, just give it one try. One sautéed handful. Your legs will thank you before lunch. Then came lentils. I'll be honest, I didn't grow up eating lentils. They always seemed like a vegetarian's backup plan. But once I gave them a fair shake, I realized how wrong I was. Lentils are slow digesting, which means they give your body this steady drip of energy throughout the day, perfect for anyone who feels that slump around 2 p.m. or worse, that shaky-legged feeling after climbing stairs. They're packed with iron, magnesium, and this one special amino acid called leucine. That one's a game changer. It actually helps kickstart muscle repair after even light movement. So whether you've just taken a walk around the block or spent the morning gardening, lentils help your muscles bounce back faster. I tried a simple lentil soup. Nothing fancy, just garlic, turmeric, a little lemon, and it became my go-to lunch for weeks. I didn't need to nap after walking anymore. That says something. The crazy thing is, I didn't expect something so simple to work this well. Lentils aren't flashy, they're not trendy or expensive, but after a few days of eating them, I noticed I wasn't dragging my feet in the late afternoon like I used to. I wasn't flopping into the recliner after a short errand. I was actually finishing tasks I used to put off. Folding laundry, sweeping the porch, even organizing that drawer of random junk that's been haunting me for years. It's like my legs had stamina again, and here's something else I didn't see coming. My coordination got better. No more bumping into the edge of the couch or wobbling when I turned too quickly. I felt more in control of my movement. It's hard to describe until you feel it for yourself, but that slow, stable energy from lentils, it sticks with you. I even made a cold lentil salad once with cucumbers, herbs, and olive oil, and it tasted like something from a fancy cafe. My neighbor asked me for the recipe, and that guy eats nothing but burgers and fries, so you know it was good. Lentils also helped curb those sugar crashes I used to get after a carb-heavy meal. You know that foggy-headed, weak-leg feeling that sneaks up on you an hour after lunch? Lentils helped wipe that out completely. Now I keep a pot ready in the fridge at all times. Doesn't matter if I'm having them hot, cold, or mixed with quinoa. They deliver every single time. And then, this one I already loved, salmon. I didn't need convincing here, but I had no idea how powerful it was specifically for leg strength. I always thought of salmon as heart food. Turns out it's also leg food. The trio inside, high-quality protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D, work together like a repair crew. The protein rebuilds muscle fibers. The omega-3s keep inflammation at bay. And the vitamin D, that's crucial for muscle coordination. I started grilling wild-caught salmon 3 nights a week. No sugary glazes, just lemon, olive oil, herbs. Clean and simple. Within 10 days, my legs felt more responsive. Getting up off the couch didn't require a push from the armrest, and walking longer distances didn't leave me huffing or limping. Studies showed up to a 24% improvement in leg strength within that time. I didn't just read that, I felt it. What really blew me away was how much better my knees felt. I'd gotten used to that dull ache every time I stood for too long or bent down to tie my shoes. But after just a week or so of eating salmon regularly, that ache started fading into the background. It wasn't gone completely, but it didn't scream at me like it used to. I even caught myself squatting down to grab something from a lower shelf at the grocery store and popping right back up like I was 20 years younger. And it wasn't just me noticing. My daughter came to visit and said, "Dad, you're moving faster. Did you get new sneakers or something?" I laughed and said, "Nope, just salmon." She thought I was joking, but I wasn't. I felt stronger, plain and simple, more stable, more confident, especially in crowded places where I'd normally be cautious about walking. One night, I added salmon to a quinoa bowl with roasted veggies, and that combo became my go-to dinner. It was filling, comforting, and gave me this long-lasting sense of energy without any heaviness. And the best part, no pills, no supplements, just real food that tastes amazing. I've even got my neighbor asking for my salmon marinade now. The same guy who used to hate anything that came from the sea is now grilling salmon with lemon and parsley on Sundays. I didn't expect it to make such a difference in how my legs function, but it did, not just in strength, but in how ready they felt, like they'd finally remembered how to support me without complaint. Then I turned to quinoa, another one I had written off as a trendy food for yoga moms. But wow, was I wrong. Quinoa is one of the rare plant-based foods that's a complete protein, meaning it's got all 9 amino acids your muscles need to rebuild, and it's full of magnesium, potassium, and vitamin E, which support nerve function and blood flow. What I noticed with quinoa was subtle at first. I'd mix it into breakfast with eggs or pair it with roasted veggies for dinner, but after about a week, I stopped having that late afternoon crash. You know the one, where your legs feel like jelly and your focus goes out the window. Quinoa kept my energy smooth, and here's a bonus: it helped with nighttime leg twitching. No more restless legs messing with my sleep. That alone was worth it. What really caught my attention was how my legs stopped feeling heavy halfway through the day. I used to dread that sluggish walk to the mailbox or the awkward shuffle through the grocery store around 4 p.m. But with quinoa in my meals, I had this even steady power in my stride. It wasn't a jolt of energy. It was more like my legs were cooperating for once, not complaining. And here's the kicker: I didn't even have to eat a huge portion. Just a scoop here and there, mixed into my usual meals, and the difference crept up on me in the best way. One night, I threw together a warm quinoa salad with a little spinach, olive oil, lemon, and pumpkin seeds, kind of a mashup of everything I was experimenting with, and let me tell you, it felt like my whole body exhaled. I slept like a rock that night. No twitching, no cramping, no tossing and turning trying to stretch out my legs. I woke up feeling like I actually got rested, not just horizontal for 8 hours. Even during light workouts or walks, I felt less of that wobble or uneven pace I'd gotten used to. My movements felt smoother, more synchronized. It was almost like my muscles and nerves were finally on the same page. I've told a few friends about it, and they were shocked to hear quinoa could do all that. But once they gave it a try, they came back with the same reaction. Why didn't I start this sooner? Honestly, I asked myself the same thing. Then came the one I was most skeptical about: beets. Beets? I used to avoid them on every holiday plate. But once I read that their natural nitrate content can actually boost circulation to the legs in just hours, I had to try them. I started drinking beet juice in the morning, just a small glass, maybe 4 to 6 ounces, before any activity. Or I'd roast them and toss them with olive oil and herbs. The change? My legs felt lighter. It was like they'd had a tune-up. One study showed seniors walking faster with 19% better muscle performance just hours after drinking beet juice. That's wild. And when I paired that with light activity like stretching or walking the dog, it felt like I had more bounce, like I wasn't dragging my limbs behind me. But nothing hit quite like bone broth. This is where everything came together. I didn't expect much. I thought it was just glorified soup stock. But drinking one warm cup of bone broth in the morning or after a walk, that was the game changer. This stuff is loaded with collagen, gelatin, glycine, and proline, compounds that go straight to the muscles, tendons, and joints. I remember the first morning I drank it. I'd just gotten back from a walk, legs a little tight, lower back feeling that familiar throb. I warmed up a cup of homemade bone broth, nothing fancy, just simmered low and slow the night before with garlic, herbs, and a splash of apple cider vinegar. I sat down, sipped it slowly, and honestly, it was comforting, like it reset my whole system. And later that afternoon, I noticed something. I got up from the couch without thinking. No creaking, no hesitation, no hands pushing me upright like a forklift. Just up and moving. After a few days of making it a habit, the change was undeniable. My knees weren't cracking with every step. My ankles felt more fluid. Even the tightness I'd started feeling in my hamstrings, gone. I couldn't believe that something as simple as broth was making me feel this steady on my feet. There's something deeply nourishing about it, like your body recognizes it as the missing piece it's been quietly asking for all along. One day I skipped it, and wow, my body noticed. The stiffness crept back in, especially in the joints. That night, I brewed a fresh batch, and the next morning, boom, looser, smoother, more flexible. I even added soaked pumpkin seeds to breakfast and cooked spinach to eggs. None of this was hard, but the difference was huge. My legs, they started coming back to life. I felt steadier, stronger, more independent, like I could actually enjoy walking again. So here's your little challenge. Just try one of these tomorrow. Seriously, maybe it's the beet juice, or maybe you saute some spinach. Then check in with your legs the next day. You might be surprised. And if you felt something shift even a little, drop a comment below. I'd love to know which one worked best for you. Your story could help someone else finally take that first step. If this helped you, hit that like button so more people can see it. And if you want more science-backed tips that help you feel stronger, healthier, and more alive, go ahead and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that little bell so you never miss a thing. Remember, we don't stop moving because we grow old. We grow old because we stop moving. So keep moving, keep eating the good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.